All right, recently I purchased a Kato PA-PB set as well as a Kato Silver Streak, and when I did that, they came in DC and I wanted to convert them to DCC. I also wanted to convert them to sound, and when I started to look around, I found that you could convert them to sound, but apparently they wouldn't sound as good unless you had the frames milled out. So what I did is I sent away my frames and had these returned. That one doesn't show the... Anyway, these are the frames. The company I sent them away to is Aztec, and they've returned these frames. I'm going to focus on the Silver Streak and go through my reassembly. I have some other locals that I'm going to disassemble, which I'll make in a future video. So we'll put these aside, and we're going to focus on the E unit here. And I'm going to get a staple out of there. Now I don't have the before picture, but what I will point out to you here is that in the milling process, this here is milled out. So normally this frame is square here, and this is just all metal. And similarly on this end, this is all metal. So this is milled out for a capacitor. I'll show you that. And this is milled out to create the sound box for the speaker. And I'll show you that as well in the decoder that I got. So let me go grab my... Here's my engine in its box that I put it in order to save all the pieces. The decoder. It's a Digitrax SDN144K0A. So that's the instruction sheet for it. And this is the actual decoder, which I'll take out here. Now you can see on this decoder it has a capacitor on this end. So that's a stay alive, so if your track's a little bit dirty. And on this end is the speaker. Now the speaker that comes with it is a 16 mil. And if we go to this milled out frame and place that, it slips right in. The speaker's too big. So, on the recommendation of a website, I went and purchased a larger speaker. This is one from MRC. And it is an 18 millimeter round speaker. This is my first test of this, so let's make sure this guy will fit in okay. Now it comes with a little sound chamber, and of course that whole thing won't fit in. All we need out of here is the speaker. So I need to... Okay, so I'm going to go away and do some filing. Okay, we now have the speaker fitted in. The wires come off the side. I did that deliberately so in case these contact points were exposed, they'd be on opposite sides of the block here. What I had to do was trim off here, 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 and here in order to get this to fit. And when I did, it protruded a little too much on this side for the body and this side. So as far as I can tell, the next steps really are reassembly. I know I'll have to solder the speaker on, but I'm going to cut off this wire and desolder from here. And I have to desolder this rear LED as well. On this particular model, there really isn't any place for a rear LED. You could, I suppose, put one there. The problem being that this butts right up against, and I'd have to drill a hole or something, and I'm not going to do that. Plus the instructions say just to cut this guy off. So that's in essence what I'm going to do. The front one will fit in to here roughly like that, and then this capacitor fits into here like this, and this gets bent down, and anyway, there's other stuff I have to do. But before I do that, I'm going to reassemble things, and I'm not sure what my sequence is, but we'll get to my box where I stored everything. And here I have the motor still in its little motor mount, and I have all the gear pieces. plus the pieces for the gears. And a little clip there. So the way the motor goes in is pretty straightforward. You can see there's the motor, and all that happens is it fits in like that into the chassis, and it fits in quite nicely. Then these here drives fit in. Got to remember how those go over there, those go into there, that goes there. Okay, so it would have helped if I would have remembered how to figure these guys out. Anyway, that's going to go in like that. So within here, that'll go down like the motor out. Put this in properly like this. There, because it slides in quite easily. Put my drop of lube on the other end. Because when I tried to put it in at an angle, it wasn't going in very well. So, needs to go in a little bit straighter. Slides in very easily, as I mentioned. Then this whole thing slides in like this. And these guys, grab my tweezers. Here's a set of tweezers. Okay, those are in. Spin this around. Guys in. Those are both in. That's seated down. It's down well. It's down. Down, down. The motor's down. Now this motor, you can't put it in backwards. You can see this piece is longer than this piece. If you tried to put it in, it wouldn't. And I happen to know that these motor pickup leads go to the front. So that's got the motor in, and I can feel that it spins okay. Before I put in the wheels, I'm going to check out the board. Now the board comes with a piece of Kapton tape on it that is used for insulation purposes on, let me just go and grab them here so you can see. On these guys, because these guys are pickups. So these pickups go on here, and you need to insulate them from the motor for DCC operation. Desolder these guys, desolder these guys, desolder this guy. The reason I'm desoldering all of these is I need to, well, for the speaker, I of course need to replace it. So my soldering iron, which I've had heating for a moment or two. There, that's the right heat. Okay, there's the cap. There's this guy, all ready to go. Back to the motor frame. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is put these guys back on. I marked them earlier, and I've already put Kapton tape on. It may be hard to see, but I've got a little wrap right around there. I've indicated that this is the left side. I got another one on here. I've indicated that that's the right side. So this one will go in underneath here, a little spot for it. I'm going to bend these tabs up ever so carefully. Because if these break off, I'm totally hooped. I'm going to take this in. Now some people solder directly to this. In order to make sure they get good contact. I just don't know if that's necessary or not. What I mean by that is the power pickups from here are these strips along here, and what some people do is solder from here to make sure they get the power pickup. But I'm not going to do that. If I have problems, I'll go back and do it. So let's get this one in. I have to get this into here. A hole there for that guy. And that goes down there. Kind of finicky work, but it's all okay. That goes on that side of there. There, that's down. Seated nicely. Oh, except it's backwards. Just discovered that when I looked at the tape. Should be like this. There we go. Now I got capped on tape there and there. Got that ready to go. That's all ready to go there. This board now fits in to here, like this. There's a spot right here where there's a little gray tab, and this board goes forward of it and then slides under that tab. It's looking like that'll come down okay. I'll have to bend down that a little bit more. Now, the next thing to do is there's a little gray tab here, and this little gray tab goes in here to hold these motor mounts, these motor contacts down. So that guy bends down, that guy bends down. Need to move him forward just a little bit. And then by inserting this, it holds them down. The problem being, what I've heard anyway, is that this doesn't always make the best contact. And what people are doing is soldering this in. So, in order to solder that, I'm going to use just the tiniest bit of flux. Well, I think it's the tiniest bit anyway. There, tiny bit of flux. Smallest gauge that I can find of solder. Put solder on my iron tip, then hold this down. Probably more solder on it than I want. That's how much I ended up with. Oh, well, that doesn't help when it pops up at all. There. Just got that. Now, if I can put this cap back on, I will, otherwise I won't worry about it. Yep. Probably supposed to be down further, but that's okay. Now, the little capacitor. You know, now I don't remember which side is red and which side is black. So, I'll grab, somebody once said that if you just do this, Boink. Spool of solder, soldering iron, pick up a bit of solder, point it there. Apply it there. Grab my frame. Wiring goes down just nicely. Bulb goes down depending how far you want it. Now I'm going to try a test fit before I get in the back. The front part of this, and realize that after all of that work, this is what I was afraid of. I left these two pieces off and they have to go on before this goes on. So I now have to take this apart. This is the unpleasant part. Here's the easy part. Believe me, this is the easy part. Now, the more difficult part is these little contacts that I had so much fun soldering have to come up. Fortunately, they're kind of springy and they spring up. Forward off, push it forward and up. Here, get that out of the way. That one down there. That one down there. Put these guys in where they belong. That's all that I was missing doing. There, right side, put you back in. Wind up with your little hole. It's all good. She lined up with your little hole. I'm just going to check to make sure that with all this soldering, you can go back. Put this board on. That down, that down. And the only thing I have to worry about is this little guy, which is going to fit in like this. Cut this wire off, and it's going to glue on there and there. So I want the red one to be, it's a little bit long, what happened just winds back there, so it might be a little bit long. Touch the wire with it. There you go. One of them has a coupler and it goes to the back, so that's not so hard to put on. That one, okay. Now those guys, you can see here in this one, these little brass pivots, or copper, reach up and they touch under there. So, it's just got a front and a rear. Oh, points to the front. Now to do a test. Got to hook up my DCC system. Okay, here we are after the DCC conversion. I'm running at half speed on here. Speedometer down at the end of the track so you can see what the scale speed is. That's in kilometers per hour. And I'll just go and activate a couple of the sound biddies. That's 175K. It has a grade crossing sequence that you can turn on. So press function 10 or function 7 and you get this grade crossing sequence. You say that's at half speed. Now we're going to cut it back to 128 speed steps. We're at speed step 21. I'm going to reverse it. I've already built in a bit of acceleration, deceleration, so it takes a couple of seconds to get up to speed and to stop and reverse. I'll reverse again. Okay, and I haven't tuned this one completely yet. That's at speed step 11 on here, 9. Yes, it's still moving. If we give it enough time, it'll get through the speedometer section. So the next thing to do on this will be to set up the appropriate CVs on it in order to get speed matching on it and all those kind of good things. So I've got another one of these engines I just bought in DC. So I'll be able to speed match them. This looks like it's even, yeah, well, 3.5 kilometers an hour, which is, what's that in mile per hour? 2 mile per hour. And as you saw, it'll even go a little bit slower than that.